You're at
The Davin and Glen Show.
episode number 11, which I actually think we got that right.
Yeah, we did.
That's incredible. So, this episode, as you noticed in studio, we don't have a guest.
Once again.
But, you know what that means.
We have a fun little short clip. Well, 15-minute clip. Decent sized. An interview with none other than
Mr. Ron James.
So, if you don't know who Ron James is, he's a fantastic Canadian comedian with many accolades under his belt. He's done from his own shows to specials to comedy shows, everything you can imagine as a comedian.
And so what happened is on Wednesday, last Wednesday, I shot him a message on Instagram because I didn't think he didn't get back to us. So I said, you know what, shoot your shot. And so I shot it and didn't hear back Thursday, didn't really hear back Friday, got back Saturday morning, the night of his show, and he had messaged me back. And basically it said, when we chatted, it was like, okay, hi, Mr. Ron James. I'm excited for your show. My bro and I have a podcast and would like to know if there's a chance we can get a quick interview after your show. Please, we are big fans. He responds a few days later, absolutely, be happy to. We'll let my producer know.
Which was unreal because it's our first time interviewing anybody with that much importance. And,
he's famous.
Well known. Yeah, exactly. So when the producer came up to us and said, "Oh, you guys are from the podcast." I don't know about you, Glenn, but that really
was like, oh man. I was like,
you're important.
Yeah, I was like, I'm not nervous at all.
Oh yeah, I shit my pants.
Yeah, a little bit of pee went down my leg, but
like he killed the show before.
Oh,
like,
absolutely. Just
what
2
you guys
hours.
won't see was 2 hours of him killing it on stage. Hilarious.
Like that man is a word wizard.
If you ever have the chance, if he's ever in a town near you, I really suggest.
Strongly recommend getting tickets like we did. Watch the show. Watch his stuff before. Watch his stuff after. He did some bits that I had seen on YouTube prior.
Yep.
And then he had also done stuff I'd never seen or heard before.
And a lot of like right now stuff.
Yeah, a lot of stuff about the Trump and Trudeau and a lot of stuff about marijuana and Netflix. And I thought that was really cool. He didn't do one or two jokes I saw, which I guess is good because I was like, okay, good. I already seen these, but seeing a few hours of fresh laughs that was incredible.
Yeah, you were dying.
Yeah, I was laughing so hard. I was like, oh no, he's killing me, man. But so funny thing, when Davin walked in and Davin was like, oh, we're the youngest people here.
Yeah, we were. Which was kind of funny because, like, it was at Laurentian University. So, you know, I'm used to seeing a lot of young people around. Walked in the doors, it's packed. I wasn't expecting that, but, like, it was hard to even move at some points.
Pretty difficult to get in.
But, yeah, it was a great turnout. It was, like, I'm guessing we were the youngest people, though. I didn't see anybody younger than us.
I didn't see anyone else.
Which is a shame because I think his comedy now, like some of the stuff that I've seen on YouTube is more driven to like an older audience, but the stuff that he did live wasn't just driven to like over 50. It was definitely drawn to everyone, especially Canadians.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
for sure.
Like we got definitely some jokes that like if an American or anybody else watched it,
they wouldn't have gotten it.
Wouldn't have gotten it at all.
Not at all. So you can tell we're excited. So we'll get right to it. So here is our interview with Ron James.
Enjoy. So we're here with Ron James.
How you doing?
After an unreal show.
How are you? Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, my face is hurting from all the laughing.
Well, listen, anytime anybody under 30 thinks I'm funny, I figure I got another 20 years in my career.
Well, I'm sure you do.
Honest to God. No, so you guys are in your 20s, and you were able to relate with what I was talking about.
Yes, especially like you talk about a lot of like political stuff and listening to like the CBC radio in the morning, getting that and getting some funny stuff on there was unreal.
Excellent. Thanks, Lance. Thanks.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I was doing some research. I found do you still run before every?
No, I threw my knees out.
Right.
And but I've got a Concept 2 rower, and I do the elliptical, but I exercise all the time.
Nice.
About
That's good.
4 to 5 times a week. I do yoga. I'm going to get back into it and do it twice a week now.
Nice.
And I got a bike in the summertime
Oh.
when I'm in Nova Scotia, so it's always helped me. I really miss running though.
Right.
And because, you know, Terry, my producer, used to have a joke, Ron will go out for a run and come back with 10 new minutes.
Nice. So when you go back to Nova Scotia, you go to Halifax?
Actually, I've got a place down the South Shore outside of Lunenburg.
Oh,
but
nice. It's gorgeous.
yeah, it is
Out there,
nice.
yeah.
My dad, who I was talking about tonight, he passed a couple of years ago, and I mean, Maritimers, we just go home all the time.
Right.
You have to, especially
Yeah,
in the
for sure.
summer.
Yeah,
You got to
there's no
smell the
place like
sea.
home.
Yeah,
Yeah.
got to smell the sea. And but my mom is still there, and all that stuff. So that's good.
Oh, that's awesome to hear. So about your writing process, tell us about it. Like what goes into thinking about it, and then all the alliterations we heard tonight, and then the going, and we're just like, oh, this is
Yeah,
it's so
thanks.
much. It's impressive.
Well, you know, the first five specials I wrote myself, and I used to go into my office every day, and I would write. I had this, you know, funky little crib in this old industrial building that's now a condo, like everything else, and my first 5 specials were regionally themed specials on different areas in Canada. So I had the luxury in those days of being able to hone a third of it on the road, and the other 2/3 were actually researched. And so then I had the series for 5 years, and I had a team of writers. And then my last 4 specials, I worked with a couple of colleagues, Paul Pogue and Scott Montgomery, excellent writers, and that they politicized me more.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And that was a great learning curve for me. And I would encourage every comedian to be open to collaboration with some like-minded, like all the big guys in the States.
Right.
They all have writers.
They all do
Yeah,
that.
for
Yeah,
They've got a
absolutely.
huge team, you know. But my own tone and my own style was developed on my own, which is these long alliterative runs.
Yeah.
And I have a book coming out in the fall called All Over the Map with Random House. And so in that book, I'm able to indulge my love of language more than I can on stage, because the priority of the stage is laughter. That's what I'm here for. And I'm here for the audience, not for me. It's got to be the balance. A balance between artistic needs and audience expectation. It's always been my rule of thumb to take that page from Keith Richards, that you got to give the audience what they paid for.
Yep.
Right. That makes sense.
Right?
No,
And I never
absolutely.
want to get to the point where I hold them in contempt. And
Yeah.
sometimes that happens, you know, but I've been lucky. I got into the soft cedars early, and I honed my craft, and I built my audience 1 kilometer and 1 gig at a time. And although the initial days of radio gave me some recognition,
Mhm.
but it's true, when I said tonight, 38 years in television, and people still say, you're that guy from TV.
Yeah.
You know, it just happens. It's Canadian
Yeah.
status, right?
Yeah, that's true.
And you know, Canadian celebrity is an oxymoron, but I never got into it for that reason.
Right.
I got into it to make sense of the world on my own terms, because I was an actor for 17 years, and I got sick and tired of waiting for somebody else to feed me in mine. And I learned things with that,
Yeah.
but this is about the work. And it's been 25 years in January that I became a stand-up and got paid for it. So I came to the game late, but I'm really, really glad I did, because it's been the most remarkable learning curve and affirmation of the life journey
Right.
that anyone could ever ask for.
Oh,
It's been wonderful.
Congratulations on
Thank
all
you.
that so
Awesome.
far. Wow.
Thank you very much.
Oh yeah. So, how long were you studying to become a teacher in your earlier days before?
Oh, I didn't go to teachers college. It was
Right.
just something that I figured I could do after getting a BA, because I had majored in history and poli-sci,
Right.
and that's really what people were doing, was going to, but I wouldn't have lasted inside
Yeah.
like that.
No?
I mean, I was made for this
Right.
business. I was made to do what I'm doing, and it was a calling, but it was a calling I didn't answer till late in life. I dabbled in stand-up a couple
Yeah.
times, but I never had the guts to persevere it, because I still had I still had those. I still had the cloak of improv about me. I started in Second City, and it was always a great cardinal sin to break the fourth wall, that imaginary fourth wall between the stage and the audience. That the scene and the action had to take place in this holy cocoon. And even though we would go to the audience for suggestions with Second City, that wasn't encouraged during the scenes.
Right.
And when I was able to hone my craft and channel my heart line and find a marriage between my head and my heart and include the audience in my work, did I really come alive as a performer.
Right.
I always thought I was doing something wrong in improv. And although, the guys from Kids in the Hall will say, oh, we always came down to watch the set with you in it, Ronnie. We really like you and Hempel, which I take as the greatest compliment.
Right.
But I think it more had to do with them being neophyte improvisers at the time rather than my own level. Dubious genius, that's for damn sure.
So, no, because I just remember when we found out while ago when you were coming here, it's just like, wow, like Ron James coming. I saw like the Ron James show on CBC.
Yeah, we saw it.
You watched it?
We gotta get there.
I've seen it.
Guys, thanks.
It's one of my favorite shows.
Honestly,
like
guys.
that Republic of Doyle, 22 minutes, and then
Republic of Doyle, boy, he's a great guy too.
Really?
Hawko.
Man,
he's the salt of the earth and a great actor.
Oh, that's
and
amazing.
whenever we had these
Good to
big
hear.
events, but CBC where you'd have to do these cultural events and fly all over the place.
Doesn't sound too bad.
I always sought out the Newfoundlanders to have a drink with because they always seem to be the most down to earth.
Oh, that's wild.
Yeah,
That's good to know.
They're a good bunch. Majumder and Mark Critch and Hawko and Mercer. They're rock solid.
Wow,
Rock solid.
that's
cats.
awesome.
Yeah,
Wow.
good.
awesome.
That warms my heart knowing that too. I'm not just like in love with the characters of you guys, but you guys as
and
people
you know
is good to hear.
It's and they work hard.
Right, absolutely.
There's no shortcut, and this is that's the great sin of the young actor is you think you're going to catch lightning in a bottle and be famous, and although I knew I wanted to do this when I was younger, I didn't work as hard as I should have, and I should have been writing then. However, when I finally decided to do this, it was after 3 years in Los Angeles, and I was out of work for 11 months down there with a young daughter and a wife and family to feed, and I wasn't landing any acting work, and so I started writing, and I went up to Ventura Boulevard coffee houses, and as I tell people, I shared the stage with the illegitimate spawn of the Manson clan who wandered down from their Topanga Canyon warrens with their poetry and prose looking for the love that Charlie never gave. And I was on stage with these dudes and 35 other hopefuls, and it was there that I began to create myself or recreate myself. I just couldn't bear the thought of improvising again, and it was getting so old going for auditions and not landing anything. And I wasn't using my mind. And that's what's great about this work is it allowed me to keep an active mind my whole life. And to, build a home and send my daughters to university and actualize the Canadian dream, as simple as that sounds. It was actualizing a Canadian dream on my terms without having to be validated by the powers that be in Toronto. And I thank you for enjoying my show, but even though I was on the CBC with that show, they didn't promote me.
Right, that's true.
I didn't get the fair shake. And so, you get a little wounded and embittered by that. But all it takes is an audience like tonight to make you forget all the politics of television and all the Machiavellian moves and the frustrations you have to suffer at the hands of a impersonal network, when really getting in my truck and driving around the country and doing what I do for the love of the work and the enjoyment of the people means the world to me.
Just makes it all worth it.
It's real. It's authentic. And in a world that's driven by spin and in a world that's driven by spin and artifice, it's remarkable how simple this calling still is. Get laughs or get off.
Right.
And you can set the standards that you want according to your intellect. And it's one of the things that I did get from Second City. It's at standards. And I know that it's been my calling card that each year we were able to write a unique television special that gained 1.5 million viewers and have the Canadian audience appreciate it.
Right. And I heard about your show after you did like the comedy festivals and stuff. I'd seen those on TV and then heard you had a show. I'm like, oh, more of it? Awesome. Like new material and stuff. So.
Well, it really did affect my numbers on the road though, but it was such a Herculean task to write. We had 12 minutes of stand-up, 12 to 13 minutes of original stand-up, 13 shows a year for 5 years. We wrote 20 original pages of stand-up every episode. 12 made it. And then each year for a special, we would write 80 to 90 pages of stand-up, of which 35 made it into the show.
Oh, wow.
And then after that, we wrote more for the specials.
Right.
Each special we wrote 70 to 80 pages of content, of which 43 made it into the show.
Wow.
So it was amazing.
No kidding.
It's amazing amount of writing.
How do you retain that? Like,
I don't
or
know.
remember it all?
Either blessed or cursed with a good memory, because as much
kidding.
as you remember the good stuff, you also remember the embarrassing moments when you pushed the envelope and drank too much or got too high in your younger days. But it's one of those crafts and callings. It's a trade. It's a trade. They call it a profession, but it's a trade. And I tell young comedians, if they'll listen, the first hammer a carpenter picks up, he doesn't build a mansion. Stage time, stage time, stage time. And you have to keep going. You gotta bomb. You gotta get your bits diamond hard and sharp. And the hard work is at the desk, but that's where you'll shine on stage if you put the work at the desk. You can't wing it.
Right.
I got an email today or a Facebook post. I had a picture of my notes in Red Bull. I have one Red Bull before every show. I had a picture of my notes, and this very famous award-winning actor saw all my notes there, and he Facebooked it. He said, "I thought you did it off the cuff." And I thought, wow, man.
Impressive, if so.
And that's what Terry says. I'm sure people think you just walk out stage and just start talking.
Oh, man. It's almost like which more impressive, the ability to wing it or the ability to remember it? Yeah. It's like which one's more impressive?
Thanks. All right, guys.
All right, thank you so
All
much.
right.
Pleasure.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thanks a lot.
All right, so hope you enjoyed that.
Yeah, we're back now. And Davin, how do you feel that went?
We originally thought, me and Glenn, we were only going to get a few minutes. Like he said, the producer came out, he was like, "Oh, how much time do you need?" We were like, 2-3 minutes, like tops,
few
that's
questions.
good. Yeah, just a few quick questions would be amazing, because we were just excited to meet him and get a small interview.
Yeah.
So when we got in and asked the first question, and after the first question, I looked over and I was like, wow, 5 minutes have gone by.
Yeah.
And then he just
Incredible.
kept going. Yeah, he killed the questions. He went in detail, which I appreciated.
His answers were so good.
And I think we got a lot more than we expected to,
100%.
which was unreal. How do you think, how was your feeling going into it, and how do you feel going out of it?
Well, going into it, right when it was kind of surreal, that moment when you walk through like the hallway, and then all of a sudden you look like you're kind of like, okay, like this is, I've never been back here in this room, and then all of a sudden like producer goes, "Oh, here you go," whatever, and then Ron just kind of walks in, looks at us, and he's like, "Hey guys, come on."
Yeah, he's like, "Pull up a chair."
Yeah, and we're like,
Oh,
whoa,
okay.
like it all happens like that, and we had never done any of that before with people famous like that, and then kind of coming in and being, hey, boom, 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 trying to get and execute. So that was something that I definitely think we was a learning experience, just in that level of like, okay, like we brought our A game, with the questions, with how we presented ourselves, our listening,
we dressed nice.
everything. Yeah, exactly, dude. Everything. And even that, we could still feel that, like, okay, this person is on a different level of, like,
Yeah.
his speaking, his articulation, all of his, like, intense alliterations, and, like, the way he answers questions. He fires back with stories, and he doesn't think about what he has to say.
No, he just said
He
it.
just says it, and it's that process of thinking to speaking that we're getting better at, but he's already, like, surpassed any level we could possibly imagine. And he's very, like, boom, 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 boom with the answers, questions, asking us, keeping us on our toes. And after the whole 2 hours, him still being able to do that, we really appreciated it.
Yeah,
And
it was-
had a blast.
It was unreal. Like going in and seeing all the lights, like the mirror with all the lights in
Yeah.
front of it. I was like, oh my gosh,
Like,
this is so
Mom,
cool.
we made it!
Yeah, I was like, this is actually what it looks like back here.
Yeah, I was like,
What?
oh, geez, because we all know what the stage looks like.
Yeah.
But, yeah, he could definitely tell we were nervous, though.
Oh
I
yeah,
saw the
like
way
he
he-
walked in, he asked because he asked us something like right before. He was like,
Yeah.
"Oh, so is this your first interview?" And we're like, "Yeah," and then
Yeah.
it was unreal.
He asked us, it was funny, we walked in, it was about traveling. And I don't know if any of you guys see my Instagram, I have a majority of my stuff is travel photos and, like, outdoors and stuff like that. Just one of my passions. And so he mentioned, he's like, oh, so I see, so you guys like to travel a lot. And I was like, you saw my Instagram! I was hype. I was like, let's go. Oh, it was awesome. But yeah.
Yeah, dude, I was so confused when he asked that though. I was like, what do you mean? Like, because he asked, he's like, so you guys travel a lot, and I was like, oh, like, does he think we're from out of town? But then when you said that, I was like, oh, okay,
Yeah.
that makes sense. Yeah, no, that's unreal that he actually looked at your Instagram
I was
and
pretty
stuff.
impressed. I was like, well, I figure also it would be in someone's best interest to know who they're talking
Yeah,
to.
for sure. Like,
I was
it's
just
nice
like,
that he
oh,
does
wow.
his research.
You're
Like,
like,
that
you
just
did it
shows
too.
that he at least kind of cares.
Right.
He didn't just go in there like, oh, these kids just want an interview, whatever.
Yeah,
I'll just
like,
do a dumb
they
interview
should
real
tell
quick.
some
But
jokes,
he
answer some
actually,
stupid
it
questions,
seemed
yeah.
like he cared, and because even after he is like, guys, like, keep pushing. I love what you're
Yeah.
doing, and he like supported it, which was unreal.
Gave us some advice.
Yeah, like what you didn't hurt
Yeah.
here, which was unreal.
really
Like, blew my mind that he showed that much enthusiasm about something that he never even
know
knew he
about.
existed.
Yeah, exactly.
Like 3 days before.
Yeah, exactly. And that was really cool. And one thing that I watched back when I watched the Robbie G interview is Ron James and him both said the exact same thing. They said, and I don't know if you caught it, but they both said, you got to put in the work. You got to put in the time. And if it's going to be difficult, and that means whenever we do this, it's like, okay, it's difficult, which means we
gonna
will
eventually
get
get better.
somewhere. Yeah.
Yeah.
It means, like, if it's easy, you're not going to get anywhere. But he's like, you can't take shortcuts. Just put in the work, figure out what you're going to say, execute it well, and love it. And we were like, I'm absolutely grateful for him giving us the chance to meet him, interview him, and learn from him.
Yeah, it was stellar.
All right.
All right, guys. Well,
Thank you
we'll see you
very
next
much.
Monday. Thanks for watching.
All right.
See you soon.
Signing off.